Hello, everyone. My name is Alyson Gluck from SAP Press, and today we're talking about SAP PLM. If you've ever wondered how to define, develop, deliver, and manage your products, SAP PLM is your answer. And I'm excited to have two PLM experts with me here. Ismail and Eudes are two co-authors of the SAP Press e-bite, Introducing SAP PLM in the Cloud, and they've come to talk about it. Thank you both for being here today.
Sure.
Ismail, would you like to start us off by introducing yourself and talk about your role at SAP and why you chose the path of PLM?
Yes, sure, Alyson. So first of all, thank you very much for having us. And I think we are both very excited today to talk about PLM on the one hand side, but also to talk about SAP PLM in the cloud. Why is that so relevant? If we look into the last 10 years, we saw many line of business areas like HR, sales, procurement already moving into the cloud. And unfortunately, our line of business, what we represent in PLM, was a bit slow in adopting the cloud. But we fundamentally believe that the cloud is the better deployment model for our customers. And in this book, we also talked a lot about the why, right? And what we're doing at SAP, and what my key role is to accelerate SAP's transition from where they are today into the cloud when it comes to our PLM offerings. And that is basically what I do day in, day out as the head of product management for SAP PLM portfolio. And that is a very complex problem to solve. And that's the reason why I love this job, right? Why I picked PLM, right? Because it's very complex. And in order to manage this complexity, it's all about getting the right people, enabling them to collaborate with each other, right? And solving these tough problems. And that's why I fall in love with PLM from the very beginning.
That's fantastic. Eudes, could you introduce yourself now?
Sure, yeah. My name is Eudes Canuto, and I'm the head of PLM Consulting North America. And I agree with Ismail. PLM is very complex, and I also enjoy very much working with PLM. I have been doing this for the last, 16 years. And yeah, of course, we have to differentiate PLM as a discipline and also SAP PLM, right, as a solution, as a technology. And sometimes we joke like that PLM has so many definitions. So we are three here. If we discuss about PLM, we're going to probably have more than 6 definitions only here. And but the way I would define PLM is really a discipline, right, that focus on managing the product lifecycle from, for its inception to the end of life, and that's a lot in between there. And that's what I really like about it, right? It's very complex. There's a lot we can do to improve, and to achieve the goals of PLM, which is reduce the time to markets, increase the product, quality, ensure regulatory compliance, and yeah, reduce costs as well, and make sure also that we target, the overall customer satisfaction. So that's why I think it's a very interesting space. And I'm responsible for delivery, right? So I work directly with customers, so we can see, the customers really adopting the solution. Yeah, that's why I like so much about it.
Fantastic, thank you. So my first question is to you, Ismail. Can you talk about some of the trends you're currently seeing?
Oh, yeah, sure. So one of the first topic which just came to my mind is also around complexity, right? Because if you look into the products out there, our customers define, develop, and deliver and manage, they're getting more complex. So if you, for example, take the automotive industry as just one example industry, right? The automotive industry is currently in a huge transformation, right? They're going into the area of software-defined vehicles. So, and that happens pretty much to any other product out there in discrete industries. So it's not only about mechanical, electrical aspects when you're developing products. You also need to basically always treat the software development lifecycle as part when you're basically developing new products. And as a result of that, managing all the product data, right? The software, the CAD models, the different configurations, right? The electrical data you have for your product, it's a very complex endeavor. That's number one. And what we also see at the same time is that the regulatory pressure increases worldwide. We get new sustainability regulations, but we also get very country-specific regulations out there. And that's the third point, right? We also see disrupted supply chains. So in all of this complexity, we see that PLM is going to play a very important role in the future, right? Because if you fail to manage to address all of these three trends, what we see is that it takes just longer to introduce a new product to the market, or your R&D costs tend to explode, right? And as a result of that, right, the customers basically you serve, they get unhappy, right? And they pick a competitor solution. And this is basically what we see in the industry, right? They all basically product-centric companies, they basically try to find a way to manage this complexity. And this is also why we believe, right, and basically from an IT perspective, right, that we need to cater to our customers to give them solutions, basically to manage this complexity, right? And our software we are developing, right, really addresses this trend fundamentally.
Great. So what are the opportunities and benefits customers will have by using PLM?
Yeah, so it is actually, so when we basically continue to drill down into this complexity topic, right? When you look into this from a systems point of view, in order to solve these complex problems around product complexity, regulatory pressures, supply chain disruptions, you need to have integrated systems, right? Your PLM system needs to be integrated with your ERP system, right? Because, for example, if you're running a configure to order process, and once you basically enable your customer to configure something, you want to be able to tell the customer when the delivery date for this product is. You want to tell something about the price. You want to maybe tell something about the sustainability footprint. You want to tell maybe also other important product data, right? So that the customer can make an informed product decision. And that really requires us to offer a tightly integrated PLM experience with ERP, right? And this is basically one of the major things where we're investing, right? Because we believe if you want to be a digital champion in PLM, your PLM system needs to be integrated with your ERP solution, like S/4HANA Cloud, but also with other digital supply chain solutions, like, for example, in manufacturing or asset management, right? So getting integration right is a key pillar and a key pillar of our product strategy, and that ultimately will enable our customers to deliver the right product at the right time at the right price.
So we've heard a lot about how to navigate today's supply chain disruptions and how customers need to react to them quickly, doing so by integrating ERP and PLM. SAP PLM offers a wide variety of capabilities for customers that can support supply chain management along with product development. So Eudes, from your point of view, what are these key capabilities?
Yes, you brought a very important point, right? We saw also during COVID, especially, right, the supply chains being disrupted, right? A lot of stress on the supply chains. Therefore, it's very important for organizations to have an agile and resilient supply chain, right? And also sustainable supply chain, right? If we consider the extended supply chain management space, right, we see that PLM plays a very important role, as Ismail was mentioning, right? And a lot of these, because PLM, as we described, it manages the processes from the lifecycle of the product from cradle to grave, and a lot of that happens actually in the ERP side of the house. Not only the PLM system, right, which is of course focused on the product development in the PLM processes, but a lot of that happens in the ERP, right? Therefore, integration, as Ismail was mentioning, is very important. But I don't want to digress to your question, right? The key capabilities. I think I can group them in 4 buckets, right? So the first bucket, it's all about product definition, right? And we have capabilities like innovation management, requirements management, model-based systems engineering, everything to define the product, right? After that, we have the second bucket, which we call the product engineering and formulation, right? With capabilities like product structures, bill of materials, configuration management, For the process industries, we have specification management, recipe development, which is the core of the product development, right? It's these capabilities. Then we have the third bucket, which we call it the product and assets visualization, with capabilities to support users to make better decisions using visualization, right? And for that, we cover scenarios such as visual work instructions or visual product analytics or visual spare parts catalogs, among others. And the last bucket, we call it the planning and orchestration, which if we consider the PLM, it's the Pro Lifecycle Management acronym. It's basically the M, right? The management, right? And then we have capabilities like collaboration. So how to have collaboration internally between users, right? But also externally, for example, a design partner. We have also a critical capability with this change management. And last but not least, the product handover, right? So basically how to transition the product development structures to the whole enterprise, really making the connection between PLM, the product development, and the ERP. Yeah, it's a long answer, but I hope it answers it. Yeah. Sure.
So I've noticed throughout this interview that integration is a big topic at SAP to ensure users can interact with each other. Can you share more details about the PLM integrations?
Absolutely. At SAP, integration is such an important topic, right? It's an imperative for us. We work on this day and night, right? Every product we bring to the markets, we have this at the center of our considerations, right? And talking specifically about the integrations, right? When we talk about the SAP PLM in the cloud solution, one critical integration is with S/4HANA, right? Because S/4HANA is our system of record. And a lot of the enterprise processes, they run in S/4HANA, right? For example, production planning, MRP, plant maintenance, financial processes, procurement. And it's a huge advantage to have these two systems integrated, But besides that, SAP PLM in the cloud, we also integrate with other SAP solutions, like, for example, SAP Ariba or SAP Commerce Cloud. But of course, that's not sufficient because we have to integrate with external systems, right? And we have native integrations, like, for example, Ismail already mentioned some of them, the integration with the CAD systems, electronic CAD systems, electric CAD systems, mechanical CAD systems. We have also integrations to other PLM systems, right? But even if we don't have an out-of-the-box integration, a native integration, we have frameworks and APIs that allow us to connect to other systems, that can facilitate this type of integrations. Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I do have one more question for you, Ismail. Earlier, you mentioned generative AI is a big trend, and I'm not very well versed in Gen AI, but what I have read about it is that it differs from general AI and machine learning, essentially taking productivity to the next level. So what are SAP PLM's ambitions toward Gen AI?
Yeah, so when we take all of these capabilities you just mentioned together and the integrations, we end up with an idea-to-market process. And that idea-to-market process is obviously different in every industry, right? In the automotive industry, right? For example, it takes like 5 to 7 years until a new idea, right, for a car hits the market. In consumer product industry, right, it may be 2 years, right? But all of these things, all of these idea-to-market processes have often, again, the same problem what you basically explained earlier, right? You have a lot of data points, right? You have data from your PLM systems, right? You have basically requirements, you have your product structures, your bill of materials, etc. But you have also data from ERP, you have compliance data, you have sustainability data, right? And what we observed out there in the industry is that many customers struggle to bring the supply chain and ERP data and bring it basically into the context of product developers. And we believe technologies like generative AI can help us to bring the data downstream, right, from the ERP systems, from the supply chain systems, right, into the context of basically the engineer. Why is that important? Because we believe that giving an engineer access to corporate data, right, will enable him to make better decisions faster. And ultimately, right, we can reduce the time to market process, right? Maybe in the automotive industry, we can basically bring it down from 5 to 7 years to 3 to 5 years. Or for a consumer products company, bring basically the market introduction time of a new product from 2 years to 1 year. Think about the possibility once basically we enable customers to do this, right? They would be able to react faster to new customer requirements. And with that, they will be able to outpace their competition, right? Because if you fail to adopt technologies like Gen AI, right, you will always basically run behind your competitor. Therefore, what we basically said is we want to embed generative AI capabilities throughout our end-to-end business process, right? So this means we will see generative AI capabilities in the early phase of product development. You just mentioned the product definition area, right? Whenever, for example, requirements engineer formulates a new requirement for a product, we want to enable them to use an LLM model to write down a high quality product requirement, right? Or once you run, for example, crowd innovation campaigns, we want to enable basically idea submitters also to use an LLM model to formulate product improvement ideas, right? And then we will use basically the magic of LLM models to really create detailed requirement models, right? Which are highly sophisticated and detailed out. So once engineering gets basically the product requirement model, right, that they can basically use the high quality data they have in order to accurately basically engineer and formulate a product. And talking about things like formulation, you just mentioned that earlier briefly. We want to also embed these generative AI capabilities, for example, into core formulation disciplines. So whenever, for example, a new recipe formulator needs to create a new recipe, we want to give them AI capabilities so that the system already drafts him some example recipes based on the product brief we have in the system and based on the data we have already, right? Because we have all of this data. We know that, for example, I don't know, certain consumer preferences, right, are different from country to country, right? And we can basically consider all of these data points already at the fingertips of the recipe formulator. And this is basically where we will also, over time, embed a Gen AI, right, in order to improve the speed on how fast a new recipe can be created. And then the last point is, right, once the product is formulated, it also needs to be handed over into another line of business, right? Because it needs to be someone needs to manufacture it, right? And for the manufacturing, you also have manufacturing steps. And these manufacturing steps, as of today, are also often, manually created, right? And we see also huge potential to leverage LLM models to automate this process, right? That you translate an engineering bill of material or a recipe into a manufacturing BOM and into a routing as automated as possible, so that you again be faster and have basically productivity gains in this process, right? And you then basically take all of these three major process steps together. We will basically see that the time to market will basically shorten, right, over time, right? And that is the major value proposition we at SAP want to capture for our customers. And therefore, we in PLM doubling down on our Gen AI investments, because the future of PLM, right, is not only in the cloud, right, it's also a Gen AI based solution.
Thank you for a very thorough answer. And thank you both for your time and for your insights into SAP PLM and PLM in general. If you're watching this and you want to learn more about what cloud-based SAP PLM can do for your business, I encourage you to check out their e-bite Introducing SAP PLM in the Cloud, which you can purchase on sappress.com for 10% off when you use the code PLM10 at checkout. Thank you again, Ismail and Eudes. It was great having you.
Thank you.
Thank you.